guys, it's your girl Sierra. Welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be about black female characters from Degrassi, monogamy, and dating history. That was a mouthful. All right, let's go on into it. So first, starting off with monogamy. Monogamy is the exclusive relationship of two people. Yeah, we all know that. We all should know that. Maybe I shouldn't assume that we all know that. I don't know, because some people be a little trifling. Coming up with their own definitions and shit these days. But anyway, moving on. Black women and desirability. Black women have been deemed as undesirable for decades. God. I was going to say centuries too, to be quite honest. I feel like y'all just never liked us. If I'm just being quite honest. But anyway. We've seen it for decades and it's very heavily prevalent today. A lot of different things about us as black women that stem far away from Eurocentrism is what makes us undesirable, but also other factors as well, such as like our financial status, our academic successes is another huge factor. As women are more educated, we're less desirable. Y'all just like us to be dumb and stupid, apparently. Jumping into the connection of that is just how you're taking both aspects of the fact that if we're seen as undesirable, that we should take whatever we can get, which is a no, not over here, not in this house. We don't do that. So when you connect black women and desirability into monogamy, it's very much giving no one likes you, so you should accept what you can get. And so for us black women, we start to internalize this because this is what everyone is saying. This is how everyone is behaving towards us. So we really just take what we can get and we just accept what we have as options, which minimizes our dating experience and really perpetuates, I believe, the belief that we're only monogamous when we're really not. Obviously, everybody has their own different relationships with other people, but it really feels like black women have to be monogamous, or they have to accept whatever they can get and have to stick with them. All the time, being in long-term relationships with people who do not like you, who harm you in so many ways, physically, emotionally, mentally, all of the ways that men and other women too, because it all depends on the person, on how they can harm black women. And so you end up staying in relationships that no longer serve you or never served you to beginning. So you're just accepting the bare minimum. And it leaves you to be scared to start over again or even just pursue anything outside of the relationship. So it always leads to, I feel like, the conversation that black women have with ourselves and with other people when it comes to dating of like, do you like black girls? And even then, that question is very complicated to answer because they can date you and still hate you. Look at this situation between, what was it? Kenny and Janae from Love Island. I've never watched Love Island, but just hearing that, I'm like, oh my freaking God. Like, a man can literally hate you that much and still be with you. Sorry, that was a sidebar. But that's something I feel like that's really tied into that, of just being like, you feel like as if you're not desired, or like a lot of the black women on Love Island, they're very desired, but you can still get played in your face and behind your back, regardless of that. So now we're gonna tie it into Degrassi. So starting off with talking about Degrassi, we talked about how the show has failed many black characters, and they have. I'll rewatch this show again and again and again, and something I noticed is that they continuously fail the black female characters when it comes to this dating. They don't really have our black female characters date anybody else. Everyone always has one relationship. Think about it. Hazel had Jimmy. Even though we already know from my previous video about Hazel, Andrea Lewis did talk about how the fans didn't want to see her story, so we really didn't get much of Hazel. But Hazel had Jimmy. Shay had Tiny in next class. Liberty had JT. Shantae had Danny, and Marisol had Mo. And I'm gonna dive into Marisol because I know you're probably thinking, you're like, well, Marisol did date, and she didn't fully date anybody. She only dated Mo. When y'all really pick up on it, all of our Black female characters only dated one man, one boy. While everybody else had several. Emma went through, I don't know, a whole freaking roster. Like, she even hooked up with Jay at one point. And she ended up with Spinner, which still mind-boggling to me. I don't want to talk about it. We have Maya, who went through her situation with Cam, Zig, Miles, kissed that one random dude in the zombie movie thing that he was doing. We even had Claire go through a few people, even though she spent most of her time with Eli. She dated Eli, but she dated Casey before him. And she ended up hooking up with Drew. Like, she had 3 men, essentially. We had Allie going through her roster of men. But it's always our female Black characters who end up with one guy. One guy. And I don't know why, but I feel like it's kind of like they're seen as desirable, as we have covered before in the Hazel video. The Black characters, especially the Black female characters, are seen as desirable, but no one else ends up with them. And it's like, are we desirable? Do y'all actually like Black girls, or are you just saying that? And I know it's a show, but it becomes very much real life when that's your situation, where it's like, people are like, oh yeah, she's cute for a Black girl, or like, oh, she's cute, but no one actually comes up to you because they might just say that you're cute, but they would never actually date you. They would never be seen with you in public. They might hook up with you on the side, or have you on the side while they're in a full-on relationship with a white woman or another woman of a different race, but they'll keep you on the side because you get in bed or whatever, and they found you attractive. Or when you go overseas to, like, say, Korea, where a lot of Asian men get with foreign women. And there's the stigma of foreign women being easier, especially in how Black women are depicted. Black women are seen as easier when we are not, to be quite honest. Okay, I'm just saying, not all, whatever. Anyway, so it very much is just like, yes, we're desirable, and yes, they desired us, especially on Degrassi, but it's not really played out like that when you really think about it, when you consider how other characters had so many significant relationships. And I say Allie had her roster of men because Allie is Indian, but she's not a Black woman. When you really look at it, it's only Black women with one guy. And it's kind of mind-boggling to see that, because it's like, why aren't they dating around more? Why is this such a level of exclusivity to one person for just the Black female characters? So going into Marisol, because they did say Marisol, like, oh, I think it was Jenna who was like, oh, I know girls like Marisol, I've been one of her. Like, we hear that about Marisol, but we never actually see it. She does go on one date with Drew, which ends terribly, to be quite honest, because obviously she's just like, I'm gonna like what he likes. And it doesn't work out. But she's not seen exclusively with anybody. She has a crush on Casey. Casey likes her, but they've never been together. It's just this weird thing where Casey is constantly getting into other relationships outside of his own, or like constantly like pursuing relationships outside of his own actual relationship. But Marisol was never with him officially. And then we do get a relationship from Marisol. She's with Mo, and she's with Mo for the rest of her experience on the show. For Shantae, I don't remember if anyone ever said Shantae was attractive or desired on the show, But Shantae had a crush on Danny. She sabotaged Danny's date with Leia. But anyway, Danny liked her anyway. But still, Shantae ended up with Danny. No one else. Also, Shantae was there longer than she should have been anyway in the first place. She was supposed to be, she should have graduated with Liberty and them. If you know, you know. Like, I don't know why. And then with Hazel, she only had Jimmy, and we didn't see any of her journey because of the fans didn't want to see it, and the writers were probably like, yeah, we ain't got a budget, we ain't got no money anyway, so we gonna try to skirt you by. We're just gonna slap you a little check until it's time for your class to graduate. So it's just like, it's so confusing on how Black women, Black female characters in Degrassi don't have a actual dating history, and it's like this level of monogamy too as well, because I'm not saying that the Black female characters had to be polyamorous, but it seems like such a correlation between the two, where Black female characters, Black women, are always with one person exclusively for an extreme amount of time and don't really date outside of that for however long it takes for that relationship. And then when that relationship ends, you got to do the dance all over again of, like I said, of being like, do you like Black girls? So then it makes the situation of getting into another relationship even longer, because you don't know if somebody would like you. You're going on all these dating apps and they say that they like you, or saying that they want to swirl. I've got that before. And so you just get so frustrated. So your dating experience is like non-existent in the real world as a Black woman. And then when it comes to this show, and when it comes to the show in Degrassi, the Black female characters don't really have an experience as well. It's very odd. So here's what I think. So going back to that video that Andrea Lewis did, that fans did not want to see much of the Black girl experience, it kind of like showed, in a way, not her fault, not the writer's fault, but it just really showed that there's like dwindling opportunities for Black girls to explore. For those that were watching the show, for Black girls that were watching the show, it really just showcased like, oh, you're just with one person. Because we don't see Hazel with anybody else. And then as more fans start to watch the show, because I started to watch the show more so towards like their class was graduating. I did watch like the previous seasons because I wanted to start from the beginning, but I mainly got into the show like towards when they were graduating, because my auntie was watching it before. And then so going into the show even later on, you don't see the Black female characters dating around. You don't see them allowed to make the same mistakes like the other characters do. You don't see Shantae allowed to make the same mistakes that Claire does when it comes to her relationships. You don't see her making the same mistakes like Holly J or any of the other female characters on the show. It's very much just like, you have to be with one person and you have to be perfect. You can't be messy. And you have to, it's very weird. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of like what I think is just like the lack of representation of Black female characters dating around. It kind of shows to Black women and Black girls that your dating experience is going to be limited as well. And it kind of goes into, with shows at the time, we had shows like Dawson's Creek, 90210, Gossip Girl, Greek, every single rom-com movie, Twilight, all of the books, they all depict white female characters having these complex dating experiences where they got to make mistakes, they got to do this, that, and the third, they got to learn and grow. But the Black female characters got maybe one boyfriend, and even then they ended up being the toss-away girlfriend, which is a video that I saw pop up on YouTube. I haven't watched the video yet. I'm gonna watch it. where pretty much you just have the black female character just there. They date one person, and then probably later on in the seasons, the actor is not there anymore. Maybe the actor like actually left to do a different show, or maybe they got kicked off the show. We don't know what went on behind the scenes, but it constantly perpetuates this image that black girls and black women don't date around, and that you're not allowed to, really, because no one's attracted to you. So when someone is attracted to you, you gotta hold on to that person. And if they stop being interested in you, oh well, that's it. Your time is over. And I feel like that's kind of like what that kind of perpetuated that image of black women and desirability. We do have black media that does depict black women dating multiple men, but that wasn't what everyone experienced. Not something what everybody watched. Whatever you're exposed to is what is the information that you take in, so your resources. Like, I did grow up, I watched That's Her Raven, I watched her have crushes on so many guys, but ultimately she only ended up with Devon. When you think about that too, like, she did have other crushes, but she didn't end up with any of them. And that kind of in a way does add to the stigma of black female characters only being with one person and black women only allowed to really be in one relationship. Very much limiting our dating experience. But I feel like it also could play into how we grew up as well, because as black women, especially if you were raised in a very religious household, or just even in a household in general with a dad, with a male figure, and maybe a mom figure too as well. It all depends on who is in your household and who's perpetuating or saying these things. And it's pretty much like, oh, you're not allowed to date till you get to college. You're not allowed to look at a boy. You can't flirt with them. Nothing. And then when they get to college, they're like, okay, so when are you gonna give me grandkids? It's like, when I was supposed to date, you didn't allow me to date. You didn't allow me to have that experience. If I had that experience early on, I'm not saying you start dating in middle school, like, all the time, but like, if this is what they're perpetuating in the households, and this is the media that you're consuming, then pretty much you're just raising black girls to become black women who are with one guy for 10 years and he cheats on you, and you're supposed to just accept it because that's as good as it gets. It's really sad, to be quite honest. It just continues that cycle of what being a black girl, what being a black woman's experience is like when it comes to dating. So I'm gonna dive into lessons learned, because this is heavy. It's very convoluted. It's frustrating. But lessons learned, representation does matter. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, we don't need to see blah, 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 blah. We do. It really makes a difference. It really makes an impact. And also, accurate representation matters. Not just this image that they want to paint us as for black women, what they want us to be like. They want us to be in one relationship, be a good girl, go to church, read your Bible, and be monogamous, serious with one person for your entire life type of thing. That's not realistic. That's not accurate. It's not. It's so dumb. We're going to date around. We're going to try to date around as best as we can, because then we have other people trying to tell us that we're not desirable. And then when you try to date them, and things just end up going left. Anyway, it's just so frustrating. But black girls do date around. We do. We do. Y'all don't want us to. Y'all don't want to depict us doing it. But we do. I did in high school. Don't tell my mama. But we're not it's like they make us to be out inherently monogamous and inherently loyal to one person, which is not factual whatsoever. But that's the image that media, society, and family would like to depict of us, and it's very detrimental to us Black girls turning into Black women, and it's just so tiring because, my God, we can't just be flawed human beings with a messy past, with ex-boyfriends up the wazoo. Like, we can't have that. We can't be promiscuous because we've seen as fast and grown at an early age just by how we look. Oh my God. This probably is gonna happen. This is just like a whole thing that it's just so frustrating. But yeah, you're probably like, oh my God, that was a lot going on. And how did that really tie into Degrassi? But you did see how that tied into Degrassi though, right? Right. How literally everybody only had one relationship. And even going into Shay, which I did talk about in my video for Shay, where she's the good girl. Her parents told her not to get in a relationship, that she's not allowed she's not allowed to date until college. And then she does end up dating Tiny, and her parents do accept her for that. But I bet her family's gonna be like, now you gotta be with Tiny for the rest of your life. I bet that's what it's gonna be like. If they had continued the show, I feel like that's what it would have ultimately been like. Her and Tiny get married and have kids. And it's like, yeah, that's a cute ending, and that does happen, but it's not completely accurate. Like, there was a chance that they break up. Then what do you think? Shay's just gonna be celibate? Like, no. Like, it's so mind-boggling just to like see how all of that just limits Black women and perpetuates so many stereotypes and stigmas and gives us this specific image of who we are and who we should be and how we should show up in the world. And then when we don't do that, all of a sudden everybody's just like, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's all I have for this video. If you like it, please like the video. Comment below your opinions on this situation, especially if you're a Black woman, mainly if you're a Black woman, how you feel about this. Next time, stay magical. Bye.